I'm very glad to welcome you back for our online English class. Children, do you remember what we have learned last week? Yes, we have learned third chapter in your English textbook. What was the topic of the lesson, children? You remember? Yes, the topic of your lesson is glimpses of the past. Okay children, last week we have seen the first part of this lesson and now we are going to continue with the next part. Okay? I hope you all liked this lesson. So it is all about our Indian freedom struggle. How Britishers came into India and how they started occupying our country and how they ruled our country. This is what all this lesson holds. So shall we move on with the topic, children? Children, last week we have stopped till the fourth heading. You remember? We have learned till the story about Raja Ram Mohan Rai. Who was Raja Ram Mohan Rai, you remember? Yeah, he was the social reformer. He was one among the many social reformers who worked in India in order to reform, in order to remove the superstitious beliefs among Indians. Okay, so now children, there were many people like Rajaram Mohan Rai who evolved in our country in order to destroy the superstitious beliefs and also to stand against British oppression. Okay, so obviously British started to oppress Indians even more. Okay, so there begins the oppression period. The period between 1765 to 1835, it is considered to be the biggest oppression Britishers had on Indians. Okay, so in 1818 there was a law passed by Britishers. It was called Regulation 3. According to that law, Indians can be jailed without trial. Okay, you know what that means? Usually when a person was suspected for doing a mistake, what will be done to that person? Usually in our government, our Indian government, do you know what a person is suspected for a mistake? What will happen to that person? Yes, first of all, that person should be taken to the court. Okay, so in court, his mistake should be proved. Only after his mistakes are proven, he will be given either punishment or he will be given some kind of he will be fined. Okay, some kind of fine will be given to that person. He have to pay to the government in order to move out from the punishment. Okay, so this is what will happen usually in every country if a person is suspected for a mistake. Okay, first he should be taken to the court. So that is called a trial. Okay, the process of taking a person to a court and in the court where his mistakes are proved, that process, okay, this process is called trial. This is what we call trial. Okay, so now according to this regulation 3 passed by British government on Indians in the year 1818, Indians can be jailed. Indians can be jailed without taking into a trial. That means without proving their mistakes. If an Indian is suspected for a mistake, his mistake should need not to be proved. Without proving, he can be condemned for the punishment. He can be kept in a jail. That was a very cruel punishment, isn't it? That was a very cruel law. But that was imposed on Indians in the year 1818 by the Britishers. Do you know what that means? both British officers and Indian educated person. Okay, both of them work together in under British government in India. Both British people and Indian educated persons were given equal job, equal work, whereas only the officers from Britain were given big salaries. Okay, but Indian uh, officers, Indian people who worked under British government were given nothing. Okay, they were given only few less salary, and that will not be even sufficient for running their own um family. Okay, so it was very difficult for them even to run their own family with the salary that was provided by the British government. Okay, that is what it means. British officers in India drew big salaries, and also they made fortunes in private businesses. Okay, they were also given freedom to do private business in India, in which they also gained huge fortunes, huge profits. Okay, and also in the year 1829, India was imported, okay, with British goods. Britain exported British goods to India, and the worth of the goods was 7 crore Indian rupees. You know why it was mentioned here? It is because if a huge amount of other country products, okay, a foreign product is imported into our country, it means that local buyers, local sellers, good sellers cannot able to grow their business in India. Okay, if huge amount of foreign goods are imported, people in India will start buying those goods, and Indian goods will automatically die. Okay, so that is why it is mentioned here. In 1829, this is what the British people did. They brought into India large amount of goods from Britain. And now, as I already told you, Indian industries began to die, and British people prospered because of the company's loot. You know what is the meaning of loot, children? Do you know what is the meaning of loot? Okay, loot means stealing. Okay, so it is taking a person's thing without their permission, or with forcing them, by forcing them. That is called loot. Okay, so this is what Britishers did in India. They looted Indian products. They looted Indians' wealth. Okay, and slowly what happened was Indian industries began to die. Now it is the period from 1835 to 1856. This is the period of dissatisfaction. There were great dissatisfaction among Britishers and Indians. First of all, Britishers doesn't like the education system of India. They wanted to change that. There was a man called Lord Macaulay who suggested English way of education on the year 1835. Before that, Indians were learning by means of Persian and Sanskrit languages, and Englishmen were not able to understand both Persian and Sanskrit. In order to rule Indians, they wanted Indians to learn their own native language. Therefore, they wanted them to learn English. So in 1835, Lord Macaulay suggested the English as a medium of instruction among the education of India. And they also offered good jobs in the British government who learned through English language. Therefore, because Indians were very eager to get government jobs, they started learning in English, and both Persian and Sanskrit way of education started to diminish. and it totally produced a new generation of intellectuals during that time. And now, in the year 1856, you can able to see from this map that most of the regions are occupied by British. The regions shaded in the red color, regions shaded in red color in this map are the regions occupied by British, and the regions shaded in yellow are the regions ruled by Indian kings, but they were also uh, following the instructions of British. Maybe the kings who were ruling that regions were Indians, but they were following the instructions of British. So almost all the regions of India were ruled by British from the year 1856. And from this, many of the commoners came to understand. They understood that India most of the Indian kings became puppets to British. You know what is the meaning of puppets here, children? Actually, what I told you already, that is what called puppets. That means the rulers were Indians, but they don't follow their own ideas. They will be following only the orders that was given by British. So that is called the puppet way of ruling. Okay, so the commoners came to understand this situation. And British people, they do not care about the needs of Indians. They were caring only about their own needs. Now, because of the changes that was brought among Indians, Indians were all having a great dissatisfaction among the British, and they wanted to fight back British. And in some of the regions of India, peasants were continued to imposed peasants were imposed taxes, and because of that many of the peasants were forced to sell their lands to the British. From the period 1855 till 57, there were great rebellion among the people of India against British. Okay, there were certain group of people in Bengal who lost their lands because of the taxes that was imposed on peasants. You know who are peasants, children? Peasants are farmers. Okay. Now, in the year 1855, many of the peasants in Bengal rebelled against British, and they also killed many of the European and their supporters. Okay, and Britishers were not. Now Britishers were also brewing in the East India Company's army. The army that East India Company had was very strong. That is what we have seen already. In the beginning, even Indian rulers depended greatly on East India Company's army because they had good weapons and they could able to fight back the rulers of Indians. So now we can able to understand that East India Company's army was too great army and was having large number of people to attack back. Now, since most of the regions of India are occupied by British, many Indian soldiers were also working for East India Company's army. Okay, therefore, here now the Britishers were started to show their discontent among the army, among the people working in their army. They were showing unpleasant situation. Here brewing means unpleasant situation. Okay, children, here both Indians and the British people worked together in the army, but the Britishers were showing favor only to the British army persons, whereas Indian army people were not given any kind of uh, good salaries or any offers that was provided to the Englishmen during that time. This brought out a great partiality among the soldiers of East India Company. Some of the soldiers like Sepoy Mangal Pandey, okay, this is the picture of Sepoy Mangal Pandey. He attacked against those who were showing partiality among the workers in East India Company, okay, and because of that he killed a person who was very cruel um, in the East India Company's army, and he was this Mangal Pandey killed him, and because of that he was executed. He was also killed by the British. And not only him, along with him there were thousands of other sepoys who revolted against British rulers. And because of their revolt, they were all stripped of their uniforms. That means they were all suspended out of their job. Now, among this, we could able to see that most of the Britishers were very cruel, but some of the Britishers who understood Indian customs, they helped Indian people. Okay, they were informing Indian people about uh, how they how they manufacture bullets, guns, and everything in East India Company, and also tell them that it was made out of cow's fat. Some of the community in India who doesn't eat meat, it was against their custom to touch cow's fat and everything because they keep the bullets. There was a movement called the Chapati movement, which was started in India, North India, in the year 1857. This was because many of the people of North Indians were vegetarians. They don't eat meat, and they were also serving Britishers in their army. And since they were came to know, they were informed that the bullets and the rifles they were using in the war were made out of cow's fat. It was against their religious custom. In order to stand against that, they started this movement called Chapati movement. Okay, so in this moment they distributed chapatis from all over the villages in North India. From one village to another village they were sending chapatis, informing the people in the village that they need the help. The emperor need their help in order to stand against British because they kill their custom, their tradition. Okay, and in the year 1857 there was a great revolt. Okay, it was broken among Indian people, and in a place called Meerut in North India was the first outbreak where is the place where the first outbreak began. Okay, many of the sepoys from Meerut traveled to Delhi, and now the rebellion against the British from Indians spread wider. Okay, and there were a huge number of people who were killed by British people. And now many of the landlords, you know what is the meaning of landlords? People who own their own lands. That is what I told in the beginning of the lessons. Who are having their own lands are called landlords. Many of them lost their lands because of the policies brought by British on Indians. And the people who lost their lands, some of them pleaded the British and some of them fought against the British. Now the first war of Indian freedom movement, okay, first war of independence we call it, happened it happened to be on 1857. Okay, it started out on 1857, and during that time there were rulers like Begum Hazarat Mahal. Okay, she was a queen from Lucknow, and she also lost her kingdom. That means she was forcefully taken her kingdom from her by the British. So she also joined the um, along with the revolt that is happening against British. Okay, so you could see the picture here. This is the Queen Begum Hazrat Mahal. Okay, she's from Lucknow, and this lady was forcefully taken her kingdom by the British people. And not only this lady, there were many other rulers like her in North India, were forcefully taken their kingdom from British has taken forcefully their kingdom from them. Okay, so some of the leaders like Malvi Ahmadullah of Faizabad, okay, and some other people from Kanpur and Allahabad, they rose against British rule, okay, against Indians. They were all um, mustering the people against the British. They were proclaiming to all the people. They proclaimed even in the public places to all the people that Britishers were enemies of Indians and their tradition. This is the picture of Maulvi Ahmadullah of Faizabad. He was a person who was mustering all the Indians in a place called Kanpur and Allahabad. Okay, and some of the other patriots also fought against British. Okay, this is the picture of Tatya Tope. Okay, he was also from North India who fought back against British. Okay, there was another man called Kunwar Singh who also lost his life during the war against fight against British. Kunwar Singh tried to escape from British by traveling through a boat in River Ganga, and during that time he received a bullet in his wrist, and he fell into the River Ganga and he sacrificed his life. He was a 80-year-old man. Okay, he was a very old man. He was also one among the patriots in North India. Okay, children, this lesson is all about, as I've already told you, it started from how Britishers came into India and how they started to occupy Indians, how they started to occupy the major lands of Indians, and how Indians reacted to them, and how the final war of Indian independence started. Okay, so this is all about this lesson. So from the beginning we have seen what all the things happened in India because of the British people. Okay, this is, I think you liked the story. You might have already learned in your history as well. Okay, in this lesson we can see many of the mistakes that Indians did. Okay, so which we should not follow. Means whenever something evil happens in a society, we should be aware of that. Okay, we should not leave that just like that. We should not mind only about our problem. We should always think about the problems in the society as well, because one day that will come even to our house. Okay, so if we don't mind about the problems in the society, it will obviously attack even our family one day. So this is what we have learned from this lesson. Okay, children, so now I hope you all liked this lesson, and I wanted all of you to read this lesson again. This lesson is just like a comic story. Okay, I think you all like reading comic books. So this is also just like a comic story. So please learn from page number 36 till page number 44. Okay, read once again, underline the words that are new to you, look at the conversation. Okay, so this will be very useful for you to improve your English conversation if you read comic stories like this. So this is like if you read this, you can understand how people converse among themselves. Okay, you can underline the words which seems difficult for you to understand. And you can also ask me during Zoom interaction. You can clarify your doubts as well. I wanted all of you children to read this lesson, and also I want all of you to participate in Zoom interaction. Okay, so please don't miss out Zoom interaction. You all must participate. Okay, so clarify your doubts. If you don't have doubts, at least your friends will be asking doubts. From that, you can also learn something. So please participate in Zoom interaction. Okay, children, will you all read this lesson again? Okay. Thank you, dear children. Have a great day.